Robinson Oscar Everett was born in Durham, North Carolina on March 18, 1928, the only child of two Durham lawyers. From the time he entered the first grade, he was designated a brilliant student. While at Durham High School, an article written in the school newspaper gives us a good sense of his youth. Robinson Everett, a 15-year-old senior, is quite a contest fan and enters all that come along. He has won all kinds, from state academic contests to why I like to listen to WDNC in 50 words for a $50 war bond. In his prize-winning entry, Robinson wrote that the WDNC programs, quote, furnish fuel, unrationed and unlimited, for a magic carpet to carry me to any world. Although few know it, Robinson is a very accomplished violinist. His talents also run to sports, especially archery. As a wrestler, he competed in the intramurals and wasn't at all fazed when he was eliminated in the first round after 15 seconds, but went out for the tennis team instead. The local Durham newspaper also wrote, if professors picked all-state students, like sports writers pick all-state sports teams, one of the leading choices and probably the captain would be Robinson Everett, a senior at Durham High School. Young Everett, who just turned 15, entered 4 out of the 6 annual statewide academic contest and scored a triple slam, carrying off the first prize in mathematics, Latin, and history, and placing second in physics. Following high school, Robinson attended Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire for 1 year before returning to North Carolina to begin courses at UNC. His mother said, it seemed that Robinson was having too much fun. He had begun pledging a fraternity when his father pulled him out of Chapel Hill and shipped him off to Boston. In his first year at Harvard, he won the Wendell Scholarship as the outstanding freshman. He made Phi Beta Kappa and received a minor H in basketball. He received his A.B. magna cum laude in 1947. That same year, he entered the Harvard Law School and became an editor of the Harvard Law Review. He was graduated in 1950, ranking 4th in a class of 445. That summer, he returned to Durham and moved in with his parents. He immediately began preparing for the state bar exam. He also spent some time helping out his parents at their law office. Normally, Robinson and his parents made every effort to leave the law at the office. The only known exception to that rule was during the period of a week to 10 days prior to Robinson's bar exam. During that time, the Everetts ate out. They would seek a table in a favorite restaurant and throughout the meal propound questions and come up with answers. Several times they found themselves in disagreement. If another member of the Durham bar was eating in the restaurant, his opinion would be sought for weight and authority. The elder Everett, for a time, was frankly skeptical of the Harvard approach to North Carolina law. He became reconciled, though, after his son passed the bar exam with flying colors and was hired as a member of the Duke Law faculty. At age 22, in 1950, he was the youngest faculty member ever hired at the Duke Law School, if not in all of Duke. During the Korean War, Robinson left Duke and served on active duty with the Air Force. Upon his release, he became a commissioner of the United States Court of Military Appeals. Later, he returned to Durham to practice law and subsequently joined his parents' firm, which was renamed Everett, Everett, and Everett, otherwise known by Robinson as Mother, Dad, and Me. In 1954, Robinson, along with his mother and father, were the first family trio to be sworn into the bar of the U.S. Supreme Court on the same day. In the 60s, he served part-time as counsel to the Senate Subcommittee on Constitutional Rights, which was then chaired by Senator Sam Ervin. In the 70s, he was active with the American Bar Association's Standing Committee on Military Law. In the 80s, he chaired numerous sections and committees for the Federal Bar Association and received their highest award for his service. In the early 90s, he served on the advisory committee for the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure and Evidence. He is a life member of the American Law Institute and of the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws, and is currently chairman of the North Carolina Continuing Legal Education Board. Somehow, over the years, he's remained active with each of these, as well as many other organizations. He continues an active practice with the Everett law firm in Durham, and is of counsel to the Raleigh law firm Everett, Gaskins, Hancock, and Stevens. Recently, he served as counsel for a large New York firm when they opened their Charlotte office. A highlight in his legal career came when Robinson had the opportunity to argue before the nation's highest court in a case where he was both a plaintiff and the attorney for the plaintiffs. The case was Shaw versus Reno. It dealt with North Carolina's congressional map, which Robinson claimed was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. Although this was a novel cause of action, the court had the wisdom to rule 5-4 in his favor. At the time, the Raleigh News and Observer wrote, "The Duke law professor was surprised when the U.S. Supreme Court decided to hear the case. When the High Court sided with the Durham native, the outcome shocked the nation, even his allies." "I was very, very surprised," said Melvin Shim, one of the 5 plaintiffs in the lawsuit. "Case law and previous High Court rulings did not bode well." But few people who know Robinson were surprised that he took on the challenging case, given his legal pedigree. His father, R.O., was Durham's first city attorney, and in 1923 led the unsuccessful fight in the General Assembly for anti-Ku Klux Klan laws not passed until 1953. His mother, Catherine, was 3 months out of the University of North Carolina Law School in 1920 when she became the first woman to argue and win a case before the North Carolina Supreme Court. In 1996, again as a plaintiff and attorney for the plaintiffs, Robinson successfully argued Shaw versus Hunt in the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Rehnquist wrote the majority opinion, agreeing with Everett's goal of a colorblind society, and struck down the 12th Congressional District in North Carolina. The district was redrawn, but the redistricting battles continued. Robinson Everett was probably not certain why he decided to become a teacher of law in 1950, right out of law school, but he taught for 1 year, left temporarily, then rejoined the law faculty in 1956. He has served continuously at Duke since that time. Besides writing articles on military law, criminal procedure, evidence, and other legal topics, he published a textbook, Military Justice in the Armed Forces of the United States. Since 1991, he has taught a national security law class at the Wake Forest Law School and continues to teach the same class at both Duke and UNC. In 1993, he founded the Center on Law, Ethics, and National Security at Duke. Professor Everett is probably most famous, or infamous, for his early morning criminal law class for first-year students. Remarkably, he continues to read and reread cases, many for the 10th time or more, in preparation for his class the next morning. Last semester, he was particularly moved when he read one first-year student's unsigned teacher evaluation. The student wrote that they were from a broken home and did not grow up with a father in the house. But if they could choose a dad, they couldn't imagine anyone they'd rather have than Professor Everett.
The case before us this morning is the mandatory appeal in the United States against Curtis, and we have 2 issues that are to be considered this morning.
In February of 1980, President Carter nominated Robinson to ascend to the bench of the United States Court of Military Appeals. The court is made up of civilian judges and is the military counterpart to the United States Supreme Court. When Judge Everett took office in April of that year, he was designated Chief Judge. His term expired in September of 1990, and he is now a senior judge of that court. Much case law was established under his 10-year watch, but his service may best be defined by the words of then Secretary of the Army Michael Stone at a courtroom ceremony in 1990. There, the Department of Defense honored Judge Everett with their Medal for Distinguished Public Service, the highest civilian award given by the Department of Defense. The Secretary of the Army was on hand, along with Justice Antonin Scalia of the U.S. Supreme Court, to present the award. And I quote, "This award is given to those that have singularly distinguished themselves in their contribution to the Department of Defense. And for 10 years, Chief Judge Everett has done that. He is a true champion of the servicemen, reviewing personally each case heard on appeal, a truly remarkable effort to assure a fair trial and equal justice for all. He has been a great leader in his profession, leading his court to new heights. Everett's, it's called. It is recognized worldwide as one of the most progressive, innovative, and eminent courts in America because of his personal vision, dedication, and sensitivity to the needs of military justice." It's difficult to imagine that Robinson could delve into business ventures while maintaining his legal career. Amazingly, he has had a long relationship with television, beginning more than 3 decades ago when he helped launch the NBC affiliate in Durham. He later went on to have majority ownership stakes in an independent TV station in Greensboro, a CBS, now Fox affiliate in Wilmington, a Fox affiliate in Fayetteville, 2 CBS, now Fox affiliates in Southern California, an independent TV station in Wilson, and since 1995, he has helped his middle son buy and transform an independent TV station into a Fox affiliate here in Myrtle Beach. If that wasn't enough. Location, location, location. Almost 35 years ago, he and his mother purchased the 250-unit Poplar Apartments and 40 adjoining acres in Durham. They then owned some 90 acres of land across the street from Duke's West Campus. Much of the acreage is still undeveloped, although we hear that Robinson will begin construction on his Century City East within the year. In addition, many other apartment developments in Durham, Raleigh, Fayetteville, and Wilmington are either owned or operated by the Everetts, including the 104-unit Holly Hill Apartments, where Robinson and his wife Lynn raised their 3 boys and have resided since 1968. Then there are the hotels like the Sir Walter Raleigh, and the office buildings like the Snow Building in Durham, and the strip malls in Chapel Hill, and the large real estate tracts like the ones in the Research Triangle Park and in Wilmington. Sometimes brilliant, sometimes lucky. The true joy of business for Robinson has been helping to grow the Tar Heel state, which he loves so much. My wife, Sina, is a psychiatrist, and she says she never met a better put-together person than Robinson, said Mel Shim, a close friend since the 50s. The parts fit harmoniously. I don't know what his parents did, but they did it right. Robinson was a loyal son and was particularly close to his mother, Catherine, whose law practice spanned more than 7 decades. And when she died in 1992, at the age of 98, Robinson had lost not only a mother, but a partner in many of his legal and business ventures. Despite all of his impressive achievements, what has always mattered most to Robinson has been his family and friends. As a husband, he is loving and kind, even if his constant travels put some tough strains on his remarkable wife, Lynn. Beginning in early 1980, he was in Washington at least 3 nights a week for more than 10 years. During that time, his wife raised their 3 boys, as well as doted on a very senior mother-in-law who lived next door. Lynn's strength during those trying years was miraculous, and you can't truly salute Robinson without saluting his incredible wife of 33 years, Lynn. Washington, D.C. couldn't stop Robinson from being a Superior Court father. He would call his family nightly around 7. Like clockwork, Lynn would have the boys and her mother-in-law at the table, eating dinner. Those nights, the phone would be passed around so that Robinson could catch up on the day's events of his 3 boys, his wife, and his mother. His 3 sons are truly blessed to have a father who cares deeply about their lives. On the weekends, he frequently played basketball, tennis, or chess with the boys. He also set a good example by dragging them to church every Sunday, which was followed that evening by calisthenics in the living room during the Lawrence Welk Show. A man who easily cries when Duke wins a down-to-the-wire basketball game, when he sees a touching movie, when he hears accolades of former students, when he thinks about his remarkable parents, when his family comes together. We, his 3 sons, have been blessed to have a father like Robinson, and anyone who's ever met him has had the pleasure of meeting a true friend. Robinson Oscar Everett.